Welcome back to the nationally recognized Real Estate Radio Network's Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Radio Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Make sure to get great information or ask your important questions at donandgino.com. Now, back to your friends, Don and Gino.
Well, we're very excited to be with you on this fine Thursday during the Christmas holidays and enjoying a great day at the Vault. How about that, Gino?
I still can't get over you listening to Coast.
Anyway, you should. It said just Christmas music. Bah humbug, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess you know what? I guess we do the same thing at home, but we're doing Spotify. We're a little more up to speed.
All right. If you just tuned in, you tuned into the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. That's right. And you have entered the Vault, a brand new custom studios right here at Cherry Creek Mortgage. You got to check us out at www.donandgino.com, DONANDGINO.com. We say that because we're battling a little bit with the pizza places. So help us out, man.
I think we're winning that arm wrestling match now. That's with over 200 shows on our YouTube channel and 130 some odd shows on Ustream.
How many YouTube channels can they show how to make a pizza?
Speaking of pizza, I tried Mod Pizza down the street. Worth a shot.
It's already open?
Yeah, I went there. It was good.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
I just pre-ordered. I showed up. They had it there on time. I just walked out right with it. It was good.
Yeah, right off the old road over there by Chili's.
Yep.
Basically. All right, cool.
Good
I have
spot.
to check that out. All right, so today you're going to want to check this out because we've gone over some great details on a subject we hadn't covered in the past, out of 2.5 years, believe it or not, because we finally found our expert, Mr. Dennis DeShaw with ACI Capital, sharing with you what you need to know and probably wanted to know about commercial real estate or commercial lending. Like, how does this work? How do I get approved? How do they approve somebody? And what are the options? And that's what we'd love to talk to you about today. Is that all right, Dennis?
Works for me, guys. Happy to help.
All right. So why don't we touch on options? Because everybody is like, great, I want to buy commercial property, but how does it work? I mean, obviously, we can touch back a little bit on the cash flow analysis as a big piece, because you should see this sheet that Dennis just showed me. He is an expert. This sheet is so detailed. It's fun actually to look at, Dennis, because it's got all kinds of information that you obviously provide a ton of information for your borrowers or your investors on how it works, how you come up with this cash flow analysis. And it's not just based on one number. I mean, you've got all kinds of examples here to do a comparison analysis for your cash flow analysis. That's very impressive.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. There's 3 ways to do an analysis. There's the way the real estate agent does it, and that's right. There's the way the lender does it, and that's right. And then there's the way an investor does it, and he or she is right.
Okay.
So I think that's important for everyone to realize. So if you need a loan, though, the way that I do it is the right way. When we get a call from a real estate agent who says, I want you to pre-qualify my borrower to buy this apartment house. And what we'll do then is not tell the realtor that's really not how it's done, but we'll talk to the borrower and get some basic information on them.
Because we do have real estate agents listening, just so you know, Dennis.
I'm glad that they're listening. Because what I'm going to really focus on, we want to pre-qualify the building, not necessarily the borrower. The realities are, in today's world, the borrower's not going to ask to buy a $2 million building if he or she doesn't have down payment, good credit, and some level of experience. And so it's a little bit different for me. So I'm focusing again on the building, and I think our folks want to remember that. So that's why this cash flow analysis is so important.
Okay.
And so both the investor and the real estate agent will give us a call and say, I'm looking at buying this, I'm looking at listing this, how much of a loan do you think our lender will provide? And that's what we'll be doing here with this analysis. So I don't want to overplay the numbers per se, except to say, guys, when computers first came out, there was a phrase that was very popular. Gino, you're not old enough to remember this. Don and I are old enough. But garbage in, garbage out. And so having this spreadsheet doesn't mean a darn unless you know how to put the right numbers in there. And so that's
just like any lending, huh?
I think that's true. And I know single family goes through the same issue. It's what do you put in there to come out with the right answer? And so that's a big deal. And experience counts here.
Yeah, it does. And Gino, we'll give you credit for that. You are an excellent at putting in great information. That's why all our buyers actually get approved.
Well, that's one of the common misconceptions in our residential real estate market is that if you have a DU engine approval, then that's fine. Well, I can make DU say whatever I want it to. Basically, like you guys said, garbage in, garbage out. So the reality is it doesn't give you any security unless you can trust the person who put the information in.
And that's a good point. What Gino's alluding to is automated underwriting. There is a system that basically Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac looks into. Basically, we plug all the info in, and if it spits back saying, we like it, then you have a very good chance to get a loan. Again, like Gino admits, and this is just alluding to what you're talking about, Dennis, if you don't put in the right information, those findings are useless. And I'm sure it's the same thing when you're doing an analysis. Am I right?
That's true, and I think Gino's point is valid. And it also points out the big difference. There's no automated underwriting in commercial. There's real people who do it. There is actually a loan committee in many shops, and so those old-fashioned things that we used to think about a long time ago in single family now are still left in the commercial loan committee, and all of those things still apply. So
the loan committee, how about that?
Yeah, I sat in one a couple of times, so it's kind of an interesting experience. I think the other thing we might want to touch on is once we have some sense of the loan amount and some sense of down payment, and is the down payment work for the client, then we talk about options. Now, one of the things we try to do at ACI is not just offer one loan to the client. I think a little different than single family. And remember, guys, I haven't done single family in 25 years, so I'm really out of touch.
We'll take that. We'll cover that for you.
Okay, but from the commercial side, I can offer on an apartment house 6, 8, 9 different loan options.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And there's a lot of deal points, if you will, in a commercial loan quote that aren't necessarily around when you get into single family. And so what we try to do is offer these options so our investor can decide which of these loans works best for me.
I like that. That's good. That's really nice.
So yeah, I'd love to touch on what some of those programs might be. I know that we have this horrible word in residential lending that's completely common to you. It's called a prepayment penalty. You guys are okay with that, right?
We have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we have a lot of that.
Yeah.
So what we try to do here, and Don's looking over one of our standard quote letters right now,
wow, is
we try to offer in this particular quote that Don's looking at, we offered 4 different quotes for this property. And in the specific quotes, the thing is here that the investor wants to take a look at, and oftentimes they're surprised. My first question to an investor is, what's your exit strategy for the building? And they're going to say to me, I haven't bought the thing yet. Why are you asking me what I'm going to do with it? And that's because we want to help the investor match the loan to his investment and exit strategy for the building.
Wow, heaven forbid.
I was going to say, I want to touch on that because that is what Don and I have always done here, and we always make sure that the first question out of our mouth is, what are your goals for this property? Because you have to match the property, you have to match the goals that the borrower has to the property, and you have to put the right product with the right person with the right property. Otherwise, it's not going to work out, because ultimately we all want our borrowers to pay less interest over time.
That's exactly right, and the interest rate is certainly important. In commercial lending, it may not be the most important question. It could be, what kind of a prepayment penalty do I have? Is the loan recourse or not? How fast can this lender close the loan? These are the kinds of questions that have an impact. In some cases, if we've got a client, and I had one just last month, fella needed to close very quickly. He made a mistake on his 1031 exchange, which maybe you've discussed here before.
Actually, he did recently.
Okay, good. And he had run out of time, and he had to close this loan in 30 days. Now the interest rate isn't important.
Right.
What's important is, can we close? And the realities were, we were not able to offer him the best rate on the street because he needed to close quickly, so we took him to a lender who would close in that time frame. So, yeah, rate's important, but sometimes not the only thing.
Boy, he's preaching to the choir, right, Gino?
Yeah. He must have listened to our show before.
All right. You're listening to our show right now. You just tuned into the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, and we are having an incredible dialogue with Dennis DeShaw with ACI Capital. And I love it, Dennis. You're very clear, concise, and confident. We like the confidence in knowing what you provide your clients is right, meaning you give them all their options to make an educated decision. And that's what I know Gino and I work hard to do, and our entire company here at Cherry Creek, and we applaud you at that, because you could easily say, here's your option.
Well, many of our competitors do that. But in fairness to all our real estate listeners, they know that their real estate license tells them that they need to help their client come to an informed decision. And that's what you and I try to do with offering them options. Let the client decide what's best for them. That's not my job. My job's to offer the options.
Very cool. All right, hopefully you've been listening to some great information regarding commercial lending, your options, how it works, the details of what terms are available. And we'll go in a little bit more on terms because we kind of gave them certain options, but I know you have certain terms that we'll go into because I bet you out there going, well, what are those? What does that mean? What can I get? So we'll go into those a little bit more. We'll go into some of the pros and cons of commercial investing based on Dennis DeShaw's experience, long-term experience. And we'll talk about, is Fannie and Freddie sticking around? We're going to have some fun with that on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Happy holidays!